The Love Leadership Academy with Cindy Willcocks is a brand new podcast about dreaming big and living your best life. There is only now, this very moment in time. So let go of the past, avoid worrying about the future, and focus on being your authentic self.
Hi, I'm Cindy Willcocks. I'm the Director of R10, Enriching the Next Generation, and I'm here today to talk about the Love Leadership Academy and the model of love leadership, which I've written in my book. Draw a heart around it, revolutionary mental health treatment for individuals and companies. And I'm joined by the fantastic Mark, who's going to introduce himself.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Bit of a slow day, but can't complain. Overall, it's been good.
Good. So just for people watching the video, do you want to introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about you?
Yeah, first of all, if you're watching this, I am not homeless. I know I look that way because I haven't had a haircut or a decent shave for weeks, like many people. So apologies for my appearance. But my name is Mark Ormrod. I am a former Royal Marines Commando, born and bred here in the beautiful city of Plymouth. I served for 10 years in the Royal Marines, and 7 years into my career, or 6 years into my career, on Christmas Eve 2007, I was out on a foot patrol serving in Afghanistan, and I stood on and detonated an improvised explosive device, which resulted in me losing both my legs above the knee and my right arm above the elbow. During my subsequent discharge, I was very fortunate. In 2010, I was discharged in July 2010, September that year, landed a job working with RMA, the Royal Marines charity, which I've been doing ever since. So I am 20 years into a serving Royal Marine and a veteran Royal Marines career. It's pretty much all I've known my entire life.
Don't look old enough.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what, maybe a little bit too old with this scraggy beard.
Oh, that's amazing. So thanks for giving me some time, because I know you're a very busy man and you're involved in lots of things, doing really good things for the community and helping people. So it's part of the reason I wanted to talk with you about the model of love leadership, because I think we've got some really great things to share that people could benefit from. So the model of love leadership for me is about helping people live happy, healthy lives. And I love love. I'm totally in love with love and goodness and good intentions and community, and I just can't get enough of it. Yes, I am a hippie. So I created a model called Love Leadership, and it stands for Listen, Own, Voice and Empower. And it's kind of a secret for people living a healthy, happy life. So it's just a framework for conversation, but it's not rocket science. It's, when I talk about love leadership, it's not anything that people haven't already heard before. And it's just a model that I created, which I was thinking about my own journey and life and how I got from being the person that I was to the person that I became. And I wanted to be able to share that with people. And that's where I created Love Leadership. So we're going to talk about that, aren't we? So we're going to get into the questions. Just thinking about listen, which is the first point of Love Leadership. Can you remember a time where you really felt listened to, and what impact did that have on you? And then the tail side of that is about, can you ever recall a time where you weren't listened to, and how do you get yourself heard?
So a time I was listened to.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know I'm pretty active on social media, and over 12, 13, maybe 14 years that I've been on it, I guess I've built up a bit of a reputation and a rapport with people, and I've got I don't want to call them an audience, but I've got this following of people who know what I'm about, genuinely. I don't go on there spouting false rubbish to try and get attention and all this kind of stuff. And so I find, and I'm bringing this up specifically because a lot of these people are strangers, which makes it more impactful for me. But I find a lot of people, when I say things on social media, they listen. And I know that because I get the DMs, I get the replies. and it feels really good because I'm always trying to push out, like yourself, like a positive message. When things are hard like they are now in lockdown and everyone's focused on the doom and gloom, and I'm trying to fight against that by pushing a positive message out, and when and where I can, give some, for what it's worth, advice and some tips on how to be more positive in the negative situations based on the things that I've learned in 36 years on this planet. And that feels really good, that strangers who have never met me physically, kind of trust me enough to know through, I guess, my actions over the years to listen, and then to implement some certain strategies and things into their lives to help them a little bit.
That's amazing, and it really does have a really good impact. I've seen it myself on your social media and people responding, and it's great to think that people can take what they want from things that you say in order to have that positive impact, because it, life can be tough sometimes, can't it? We all know that life can be a bumpy road sometimes. So people have really struggled with lockdown. We're in the middle of a pandemic, worldwide pandemic, and it's it's been tough, isn't it? I mean, certainly
it is.
Higher levels of anxiety and people's mood been impacted upon, and that's without kind of financial pressures and stuff. So having someone like yourself putting information out there to try and help people feel better is great. And yeah, that's a really nice example, Mark. Thanks for that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's not, like you said earlier, it's not rocket science. It's just, I see maybe a little opportunity and I think, well, I've been through something like that similar, before, and this is what I did, so maybe this can help someone else. So I use social media to get that out there, and if people throw it back and say, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about, that's useless, fine. But if someone goes, that's really useful, that helped, happy days.
Yeah, great. And in terms of like not feeling listened to, has there ever been a time where you've not felt listened to? And I guess the kind of positive reframe on that is, how do you get yourself heard? So someone's thinking,
I don't get listened to about 45 times a day because I've got 3 children. And I'm constantly not getting listened to or even paid attention to. And it's the complete opposite feeling of being listened to. It's very stressful and irritating. But outside of that, I'm just trying to recall a specific incident. I mean, I think because of my background, being from the military, we all kind of take on board everyone's points. So, if we're out on operations or exercise, everyone gets a little bit of input into what happens and what goes on. And during those times, I'm not always listened to. And it's not like I'm going to get on my high horse and say, I know better, blah, blah, I'm the best, listen to me. I honestly don't mind. And I often put myself in situations where I'm actually the dumbest person in the room anyway. So people shouldn't listen to me. And that's a personal thing, because I like to be around people that are a lot smarter than me to force me up and to force me to do better. So, I think I purposely put myself in situations where people maybe shouldn't listen to me because they're smarter than me. But, to get myself listened to, I think I briefly mentioned it just now. I think I do it, or I've done it over the years through my actions. Yeah. A lot of people just talk and say, listen to me, I know what I'm talking about, but they don't back it up with actions.
Yeah.
Whereas I like to think I do the opposite. I don't really tell anybody, listen to me, I'm so smart, I know everything, listen to what I'm telling you. I just go out and do things, and people see that. And then they in turn go, oh, listen to this guy, he's done this, and he knows what he's talking about. I think, and I hope, anyway.
Amazing. Sounds good. And you're not the dumbest. You're not the dumbest by far. You've got lots of good stuff going on. Okay, so thinking about the model of love leadership again. So talking about listening it's kind of something that we talk about in terms of body and mind and just your intuition and things like that. And then we talk about own, and some people call it ownership, some people call it baggage. I don't like to call it baggage because like to think that any experience can be used to shape your life. And, you know, I'm guessing from your experiences in the past, that's going to be something that resonates with you. And when I talk about ownership in the model of love leadership, I'm talking about remembering your roots, knowing who you're being, what's influencing the conversation that you have. So from your point of view, what's the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome to own your stuff?
I think it goes back, you know, to what I talked about in introduction, and that's my injuries. You know, having to effectively figure out how to not just accept that, but own it.
Yeah.
And I think if I broke it down, that there are stages to it. You know, you got to imagine you go from 6'2", you know, you're 16 stone, you're at the peak of your physical fitness, 24 years old, on top of the world, and then, you know, you're 3.5 feet tall, you got no legs, you lost your dominant arm, your career is pretty much over, you got a lot to take in. So first of all, you know, there's this whole acceptance thing, and then later on down the line, you go to the other level of, I'm not just going to accept this and coast through my life. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to take ownership of this. This is who I am now, and you know, by owning it, it enabled me to step into the new me,
Yeah.
you know, and really take charge of it. And that's, I think this is the E on your model, but it was an empowering moment.
Yeah.
You know, that moment that I did that, and I remember that moment when I kind of took ownership of it and was like, right, this is it. This is me now. This is the new Mark Ormrod 2.0.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, too bad, because I love it.
Yeah, great. I love that. I love it. More love. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think, like, in terms of your experience, Mark, you know, and how you use that to help influence how other people feel and to motivate other people is just absolutely phenomenal. I just love it. I just, like, it's so inspiring. It's so energizing, and yeah, it's lovely to see that. I think it has a massive impact and adds lots of value to people's lives. And it's part of the reason I wanted to interview you, because you know, I want that impact to be felt wider and wider by people.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, you know, that's a big challenge that you've overcome, and I think acceptance, embracing things, and actually saying to people, "I'm me. This is me." It is great. And I was just earlier having a conversation with someone about taking charge of themselves and being themselves more, rather than try to look for validation in other people about who they are. And I think that's easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? So some people have got to go on a bit of a journey, to myself included in that, to try and figure it out. So yeah, it's an important one. So okay, so just thinking about you know, the next part of the model, it's about having a voice and not being afraid to use it. So we talk about listen, own, and then voice, and accepting that other people have a voice and they shouldn't be afraid to use it, and it connects very closely with listen and own and empower. Is there a time where you felt unable or afraid to use your voice and actually wish you had? And then what would you say to yourself in that situation now?
Yeah, there is. So this is a long time ago. I was about 3.5 years into my career with the Marines, and I had been taken out of the main place that I'd worked. My rank was Marine, which is the same as a private in the army, so the bottom level. And what they did was they took people out of where I was working. They would take one corporal and one Marine. I think they took 4 different groups of us, and they scattered us throughout our unit into different companies. So basically anyone at my level as a Marine had a corporal in charge of them, and we were separate from the other troops and companies we were working in, because we were in charge of their vehicle fleet. So the corporal that I was working with, who was in charge of me, got sacked effectively from the job because he wasn't very good at it. So I was then left on my own and had to figure out how to do his job without any training or any experience, while all my friends were off and they had the safety blanket of the guy on top of them looking after them. So I had to go into work at like 6 o'clock in the morning before everyone else was in, do my day's work, leave at 7, 8 o'clock at night, take work home with me. Did it for about 6 months. And the weird way, it works very weird in the Marines compared to the Army. So we generally change over drafts every 2.5 to 3 years. So just as we were coming up to my reporting period, my boss, my troop captain, changed. And we got a new one in who'd been there for 4 weeks. He wrote me a report after meeting me one time, only been in the job for 4 weeks, where I thought I performed well above and beyond my job spec and was hoping to get put on the list for promotion, which my friends subsequently did, who had the top cover of their corporals. I got what I wouldn't even call an average report, so I'll call it substandard. And I was stood in front of this guy, and you got to remember, I was like a 19-year-old young Marine in front of a captain, and he's reading this report to me, and in my mind, I'm so angry, and I'm thinking, you've got no idea what I've done for the last 6 months. You haven't been here. And I wanted to say to him, excuse me, sir, with respect, I've done this, and this without any guidance or support, but I didn't do it. And I walked out of there, and I felt so angry. And then when I found out all my friends had been put on the list for promotion, it made it worse. And then I was like, you've had all this help and support. I've done all this on my own. And the new boss came in. I didn't have the courage to speak up to him. And then what made it even worse than that was about 2 weeks later, there's this little award you can get in the Marines called the Herbert Lot Award, when you get it for going above and beyond your job spec. I got that. And I was like, but I wanted to get promoted. I didn't want that. But I've thought about that for a long time. And I really wish if I could go back and speak to myself then, the night before, I'd pull myself aside and say, look, Mark, it'll be difficult, but you've really got to say, sir, I don't agree with your report. With respect, you haven't been here and seen what I've done for the last 6 to 8 months. I would appreciate it if you'd go and speak to some other members of the troop, get their feedback, and then maybe consider rewriting it, because I'm at the beginning of my career now, and this report has put me off, in my mind, to a bad start. So, yeah. But that being said, it did help me moving forward in my life. When I found myself in situations like that where I felt that inner need to speak up, I did, because I didn't want to feel like that again.
Oh, so it actually impacted on you more positively because you had that experience of not speaking up, then it encouraged you to not be put in that situation again.
Yeah, I learned from it. And thought, don't make that same mistake again.
Yeah, amazing. It's not always easy to speak up and say things. I mean, I can remember times where I've sat in meetings and not said the things that I really want to say because I might be the lone voice, that changed, much like yourself, over time. You do that once or twice, and then you think, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Just again, you get experience and you reflect on things, and you know that's going to make a change. But yeah, I think it's not always easy to say what you want to say, is it? And I always just encourage people to say things and have good intentions. So, avoid gossiping about people, avoid kind of using your voice to be negative and blame and criticize people, but actually use it to try and empower people. And you can disagree, you can challenge, but it doesn't have to be in a negative or blaming or criticizing way, does it? It can just be a factual thing that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk a lot about that in the model of love leadership, and like you said, so the E is for empower, and to empower, I would argue that we have to engage with ourselves, we have to educate ourselves and also other people, so that we can evolve, so that we can change, so that we can learn from those things. So, I mean, what does empowerment mean to you, and how do you know when you're feeling empowered? You already kind of touched on it a short while ago when we were talking about ownership. But what does it mean for you?
I think it just means having that inner conviction to do what is the right thing to do. So like in that situation I just talked about, I didn't feel very empowered to speak up, for whatever reason. But I think it's just, if you know you've got the tools to do the job right, whatever it is you're looking at doing, and it's in line with your morals and all that kind of stuff. It kind of feels a little bit like motivation, I guess, if you like. You see something, and you know what the right thing to do is, and you do it, and it feels right inside, like it's aligned. You're not going against your values or your morals, and you do the right thing. Like, for example, you're walking through town and you see someone, maybe a homeless person or someone that looks like they need help. Do you feel empowered to help them or not? I guess that depends on the kind of person you are.
Yeah. So it's like energizing. So like energizing as opposed to kind of talking about motivational and energizing, feeling empowered and giving you strength, I guess, in a way, to keep
Yeah.
going, keep doing those things. And that's interesting. Thank you. It's good to reflect on those things. So just thinking about the model of love leadership again. Listen, own, voice, and power. That's the kind of message I want to get out to people. Like I say, it's not rocket science. It's something that we can all do. For you, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned personally or professionally or both?
The biggest life lesson?
Yeah, just generally. It can be anything, really. Yeah.
Well, I think having gone through, all this situation that I've gone through, I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned about myself and in my personal life is that I'm a lot more capable than I ever thought I was at doing things, overcoming adversity, rising to the challenge, achieving my goals and all that kind of stuff. I wish it didn't take this for me to realize it, but it did. And I guess you could break that down into, the love model, the love leadership model. I had to kind of listen to myself and say, you can overcome these challenges. You've got great support around you. You've got the tools you need. Just put the hard work in, and then we talked about owning it, and then a couple of years later the voice part of it came in when I started helping other people, that were in similar situations. And I guess that rose into empowerment as well, because, somewhere along the line I was empowered to take back control of my life. And then I like to go out to empower other people to do the same with theirs.
Yeah.
So I think, definitely, understanding what not me, but we are truly capable of achieving, in our lives as human beings is the biggest personal lesson. Professionally, though, God, I'm not sure. I'd say it might even be similar. It's because it's quite funny how I think this is one of your questions about a time when I've not felt confident or I've questioned myself. And I did that a lot in my professional career. I always looked around me and I saw people who I thought were better than me, more capable than me, more professional than me. And again, I guess professionally as well, I had to prove to myself that I was capable of more than I was giving myself credit for by just going out and doing the things that I wasn't comfortable with and that weren't easy,
Yeah. And it's easy to get into doubting ourselves, isn't it? Any experience I think people have. I mean, you've been through a tremendous experience. You learned a lot about yourself and life generally from that experience. And I think that sometimes we can kind of get a little bit stuck in that. Not you particularly, just people in general. And we can get a bit frozen and a bit stuck and not feel empowered and not feel like we're good enough and doubt ourselves and it just gets in the way of succeeding. And success isn't always about money or the car you drive or the house you live in or it's the other things. It's the relationships you have, it's the family you have around you, it's how you feel about yourself, it's whether you wake up every morning and you smile, All those sorts of things. Do you enjoy nature? Those kind of things. And I think we live in a society where sometimes we can get a little bit confused about what success is deemed to be. And I think it's great to hear from people like yourself, and hopefully my story helps to shape how people want to live their life, because we can choose. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that we can choose what we want for ourselves. We kind of feel that this stuff is done to us, and but we can make the best. We can make the best of things that happen. And so it's good to hear from you and encourage other people to do more of that, because I know some amazing, beautiful people, beautiful souls that do brilliant stuff. And sometimes people just don't see that in themselves, do they? So,
no, and it's funny because you're right. I don't know when it happens, but I think sometimes we do forget that we can choose. We can choose the life we build, the path we take, and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's a point that's different for all of us as you're growing up. Maybe you're influenced by your environment or the people in your lives, and you forget that, and you kind of just think, your destiny's preordained, and it's all written for you. But it's not. You can create what you want.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? They're amazing things.
It's empowering.
Empowering. Yeah. So okay. So just thinking about love leadership as a model, do you think it would be helpful in business as well as kind of personal life? Like, do you think it could be helpful in people's professional lives?
Yeah, I mean, business and personal life, they're not really that different, I know. Well, for me personally, if I owned a company, I would run it. I wouldn't run it like I'd be the Google kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? That it's all about, give the employees freedom, let them be creative, do all that stuff, and rather than have them on an assembly line, whipping them and making sure that they're doing everything I tell them to do. So I think, the model, the love leadership model, can easily translate into business. Listening, and at all levels as well. Because listening, the first bit, that's got to filter down from the top. The guy at the top has to listen to all the guys beneath them, and the guys underneath have to listen to all the people around them. Communicate, and that's how things get done, cultures get created, organizations get built. Owning it, I have to think a little bit more about that one. But and I don't mean in the financial sense, as in owning shares of the company. I mean owning your role within it. But there you go, owning your role within it. Whatever role it is you have, whether you're the CEO or the janitor, own it. Be proud of it. Be proud to be a part of that company. And whoever is responsible for creating the culture, spread that message. Do you know what I mean? Don't feel less valuable because you don't sit at the top of the hierarchy chain. Everyone's as valuable as each other. Voice, 100%. 100% can be valuable in business because, again, if you don't get stuck too much into that ladder of hierarchy, someone down here could have a idea or something going on which can completely transform a business, but people at the top may not listen because they feel that that person's beneath them, they don't have any good ideas. But if you've got the conviction to voice those ideas, it could be a game changer. And empowerment, again, holistically throughout a company from the top down, the CEO empowering everyone beneath them, and then everyone beneath the CEO empowering everyone around them. Yeah. And you see it all the time. You get companies where people just love going into work and they love being part of it, and they want to wear the t-shirts and tell everyone that they work for that company because of things like empowering the employees and going through that love leadership model. And then you get the opposite, where none of these things are applied and people can't stand it. They hate it. These are the guys that hate getting up. You see their Facebook status on Sunday night. Oh, Monday morning again. Oh, I hate my job. Do you know what I mean? And you could see a mile off. So obviously there needs to be a little bit of love leadership in those companies.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's great. I mean, I talk about I agree with you actually. I think I just started doing more of what I loved and less of what I didn't. That's how I made my kind of transformation. And it was like I just loved helping people, connecting with people, listening with people, and I just do more and more and more of it because I just love it. So I don't even really have a separation of how I see work and personal, because it's all interlinked. Like when I'm doing something, I bring my whole self. I can't part of me at the front door and go like, hang on a sec, I'm here till 5 o'clock. It's like it's the whole of me that comes. You get the lot. And I think I've worked in industries and professions where you have a lot of bureaucracy and you have a lot of I don't know, kind of influencing factors that say leave your emotions at the front door. You can't be emotional about it. You can't. And I just I've had to undo that. I've had to reprogram myself to say like, actually that goes against what I naturally feel, and that's why I started my own business, because I didn't feel like I was able to bring my whole self, to the work that I do. And I think that I know that I can help people more effectively when I do bring my whole self, because I'm happy to share my experiences. I'm happy to share my love with them. I'm happy to see them succeed and want them to thrive. So I think it's really interesting to just kind of think about it from a work and a personal sense. Because me and you, I think, are both saying the same. Like, it's just us, it's just who we are, it's what we do. It's not really a separation. So
and that's when you've cracked the code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there's no separation between your life and your career, that's when you've cracked it. And what's brilliant about the day and age we live in is that my personal opinion is nobody has any excuse why they can't turn what they're passionate about and what they love and they live into a career with the tools that we've got available nowadays. You can, if you love peanut butter, right? And this is extreme, but if all you talk about is peanut butter and someone goes, oh, do you know Cindy? Oh yeah, that's the peanut butter lady. You can make a peanut butter YouTube channel and you could earn like $4 or $5 a month, probably more, if you set it up right. Do you know what I mean? So, like coaching, what you do, what I do, 15 years ago, probably less than that in the UK specifically, unless it was sports coaching, people were like, what are you talking about? What do you mean life coaching? I don't need you to life coach me. And it's got really popular recently. And what's brilliant is that people like yourself who are passionate about it and live that can now make careers of it. And, they're positive, empowering careers that are helping people's lives.
Yeah, definitely. We've got there's a lot of emphasis on the coaching stuff, and it is brilliant, isn't it, Mark? Like when you must feel it when you help someone, you connect with someone, when you see people thrive. I just love it. I received a video testimony last night. I posted it this morning. She said I could, and I just loved seeing her thrive. I loved seeing her get it for her. She said nice things about me. That wasn't the bit that I really focused in on. It was just seeing her get it, seeing her thrive. And I know it's going to make you must feel the same. There must be lots of examples that you've got where you've helped people thrive, and it's just lovely to see, isn't it?
I said it to a couple of mates the other week, but it was actually two of them in 1 week. They rang me up and there's some really good news about their businesses. And I said to them, I said, listen, mate, I don't mean to sound weird, right? But I'm more excited that you've told me that and that you've succeeded and leveled up than I would be if I'd done that myself. And he got what I was trying to say. I was just like, the whole day I was like, yes, because I've seen how hard he's worked, and now he's a genuine person, really good guy, looks after other people, and now he's starting to reap the rewards of it. And I was so excited for him. I got zero from it, as in like I don't own part of his business or anything like that. He's just a friend of mine. And I was saying, look, don't think that I'm some sort of weirdo, but I'm so excited for you for achieving that. But he got it, thankfully, and we're still friends.
Yeah, that's good. He hasn't blocked you.
Isn't the lunatic on block me now?
Yeah. No, I think that is lovely, and I guess for me, like the whole point of love leadership and connecting with people like yourselves and people that love, that care, is about creating a world that I want to live in, that I want other people to live in, that I want people to thrive in, and that's what it's all about for me. So I talk about spreading unconditional love, and I hope whoever it is, however it is, can help us in that journey, because it's creating communities where people encourage each other and celebrate people's successes is just amazing, I think.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
100%.
So I've got one final question for you, and this may not be a one-person question. It might be a group of or a topic of. But who do you admire the most? Is there like a person or a group of people or people that do X?
Do you know what? It's just we've been talking kind of roundabout about these kind of people throughout the whole time we've been on this call, but just people that have that courage to go out and do the things that they want to do. That believe in themselves, that know they can create their own path, that take action. Don't to get discouraged too much if they fail. They don't listen to the negative opinion of others too much. They've got that conviction, and they know inside what they want to do, and that's what lights them up and gets them excited. And they go out and they like what you've done, and you go out and you do it, and then you're thriving at it. You know what I mean? That's the kind of people like that I want my kids to look up to. You know what I mean? Not, I don't want to go down a negative path, but not like these reality TV stars and stuff with no substance. Some people that just have really got that about them, and take advantage of all the good opportunities in life.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, about creating a world that I want myself, my daughter, other people to live in, thrive in. And
yeah, exactly.
It's just amazing when you recognise that and learn that. I think it does take a bit of learning. I don't think we always see that as human beings. But I think if you get it, then you can't unknow it, and it's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mark, for joining me. Have you got any questions for me to turn the tables? It doesn't matter if you haven't. I'm quite happy for you not to have questions, but I like to give people the opportunity.
Okay. Who do you admire and look up to?
Wow, yeah. I mean, I think for me, you know what? It's my daughter that drives me. And I think, like, I look at her, she's a beautiful, intelligent, lovely soul. And, I miss her incredibly. She's traveling the world at the moment. She's over in Australia. So, but, she's just amazing. And I just love her heart and her spirit and her, it's everything I would want for her. And, I don't mean that in a kind of controlling or she's got to do this way, but she's just being herself, and I love that. And I think I admire her because it took me a little while to work that out. I go on a journey to work out that actually I'm okay. And I admire that she's so young and has worked that out for herself. It's amazing. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Right, listen, thanks for your time. I'm going to let you go. And thanks for being interviewed as part of the Love Leadership Academy. I really appreciate it. I hope we can do it again sometime. It's been good.
Let me know.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark.
All right. Take care.
You've listened to a podcast by the Love Leadership Academy with Cindy Willcocks. Thank you for listening, and to learn more about the model of love leadership, search online for Draw a Heart Around It, a revolutionary mental health treatment for individuals and companies, written by Cindy Willcocks. Dream big and live your best life.